Yeah, close the door.
Here we are. Take it away, Twala.
Nerds and geeks. Something happened this week. A movie came out. It's called The Batman. I have a few do's and don'ts before you go and see The Batman. Do not go and see The Batman late at night if you are tired. That is an absolute do not. Do not go into The Batman thinking you are going to see an action-packed extravaganza.
No.
Do understand that this is a true crime thriller. This is Batman the Detective. Okay? Do not go to that film if you are over a certain age and your bladder is not up to par. Don't think you're going to make it through because you are not. This film definitely, positively needed an intermission.
Oh, stop.
I myself made it through this film by taking a quick nap. I took a quick nap. I think, Batman was in an interrogation room and he was banging on the glass asking the Riddler, what did you do? What did you do? And I said, okay, I'm going to take a nap real quick, my guy, because he's taking too long to answer your question. I woke up. He's falling through a ceiling. Shit is on fire. The mayor's being shot at. I'm like, what the fuck just happened? Okay.
You missed a lot.
I see.
Okay.
I took a quick nap. And that is what happened. I can't honestly give a solid review of this film because I halfway watched it. Watched it.
Okay.
I was in and out of attention.
I told you not to go
certain
late at
point-
night.
Yeah, look, Liz, seriously, I thought that this should have been on television for me, if only because I did need to pause it. And every time that the incredible music cue came in, I was like, maybe that's the end of this episode. And we're going to come back and it's going to be more. Okay, that's fine. I'm not saying it was bad, though, because I can't honestly say I really watched it enough to give a solid review. So I'm going to see it again.
You mean see it for the first time?
Yeah.
For the first time?
For the first time.
How did you feel about the Boba Fett cameo though?
When that happened, I heard the crowd go off and they were like, yo, you missed it. Fucking Grogu came across the screen and stopped to take. No, seriously, I have no idea half the time what was going on. I'm like, oh, wait, what did she just say? Fuck, man, I wish I could rewind this.
How are you gonna start off the review
right
with I didn't even see the damn movie?
Did we start
No, seriously, no.
Okay.
Look, I went 10 o'clock.
Okay.
10 o'clock.
That was a mistake.
Wait, you know what?
Why would you go at 10
No, by the time you got out of there, it was Wednesday.
We got to
No, but 10 o'clock.
With all due respect, Swallow.
Yes.
Yeah. Let's do the special guest,
Okay,
please.
look. Wait. Okay. Before we get to our incredible special guest, Thomas Talking Cunningham is in the building. I see Twitch Master Ryan McBain, Dr. Liz from the Freeway, the one and only Mo Kelly, and you have heard this voice on Nerd-O-Rama several times. He is our news anchor on the Mo Kelly Show on KFI. Mo, you reached out and you got an OG in the game to come on and join us. Take it away.
That's right. We got a journalist. He's a longtime critic, comic book author of titles including The Twilight Zone, Army of Darkness, Vampirella, and many others. And as you've already mentioned, he's KFI news anchor specifically for the Mo Kelly Show and other shows, but it only matters when he's anchoring for our show. Please welcome Mr. Mark Runner.
Glad to be with you guys. Glad to be here.
Unlike Twala, he actually saw the movie.
Yes.
Yeah, well, I think when you go see it again, you need to bring a bat pee bottle.
I'm gonna have to. Mark, you have given us so many tips on how I can get through this. Like maybe slipping a drink into my shorts. I don't know.
I did
adrenaline shot, maybe.
Into your arm. Drink in with me this afternoon.
At 10:30 in the morning, like a normal person, when it's a 3-hour movie. We can't hear you.
Tom, you gotta unmute yourself.
When you finish that 72-ounce drink from AMC, you can use it as your portable bathroom
Really?
as long as you're on an empty row like I was.
That's the secret.
I was one row back from the screen, and I have to say, in a prime theater at AMC, that is not a bad seat. I was expecting to be upset, but I because they did not pay attention to A-list and give me the proper priority for my nachos and drink, I was a little bit late before the start of the movie, and so I don't like to walk in front of anybody when something critical is happening. So I stood through that first fight scene where he just whooped ass on all those people. And then I kind of slipped in real quick because there was only one person at the edge, and I knew I'd only be in their sight line for like 2 seconds. But let me just ask this question to everybody, because this was a question that went unanswered through the movie. Did anybody else think that was like the Joker gang from Dark Knight Returns?
Yes. Right.
Yes.
And there was no payoff, and I was like,
well, I mean, there's a slight payoff in the end, and there was a scene that has actually been revealed that was cut from the film.
Correct.
That ties them to the Joker appearance in the end of the film by homeboy from Eternals.
Yeah.
So
Keon.
You know, the dude who's messing with
Druig.
Druig. So it was slightly connected, saying that the Joker gang is out there because the Joker is in jail. So it's kind of loosely, tangentially, look, hey, to me, this wasn't Batman. This was more like a rogue cop going around the city doing his own thing. His relationship with the police was doing. He's walking into the police station. He's doing what he wants to do.
That's Batman. Stop it.
I mean, he's literally a vigilante in a bat suit.
Yes, he's Batman.
Walking into clubs, hanging out on crime scenes.
What Batman is. He's
Ryan,
a detective.
he didn't see the movie.
Yeah, well,
seriously.
Yeah, you really are offering retorts in your little beanie and your big ass cans, talking shit about this goddamn movie that you didn't see. I'm kind of confused.
I saw enough of the movie to not be entertained.
No,
up until he was in the
Okay, kids.
I was in it.
There's some really good moments, like
like every moment Zoe Kravitz is on screen.
Yes.
Okay. But the moment when we first see the Batmobile.
Yeah, the Batmobile was fire.
That was, and I saw it in Dolby, and I was like, I don't know why I'm hearing Dolby until the Batmobile came on. And
my seat was shaking.
Yeah.
I was 125% down with that.
And can I jump in there? Let's get a cursory review from everyone. Liked it, loved it, hated it, and so forth, and then we'll spiral out from there. Tom.
Loved-ish it.
Okay. Liz.
Okay-ish.
Ryan.
I saw it and I loved it.
Mark Ronner.
It's a Batman iteration I've waited to see my whole fucking life.
Ah!
Wow.
I loved it. I thought some of the scenes were a little too long, unnecessarily long, but it's a minor quibble. Love the movie.
And I will say this. I think Robert Pattinson is the best Batman I've seen. I may not have liked his Bruce Wayne.
You didn't see the movie.
I thought his Batman was the shit.
You didn't see the movie.
Yeah, Twala's review is
Batman scene,
but I didn't see
dope.
it.
When Batman came out of the fucking shadows and dealt with the Joker gang, that was the most menacing Batman we've seen. That shit was frightening watching it happen. I felt that one kid who punked out.
Production design. Like, that's not Robert Pattinson.
Okay, I will listen. I will say this. I actually legitimately appreciated seeing Batman as a detective in that first mayoral crime scene. It was the first time we had stuff when Michael Keaton was Batman and he was like investigating, but he's mostly in the Batcave. You know, he was doing research on the Joker, on Jack Nicholson's Joker, and he was looking through crime clips and stuff like that, old newspaper clippings. Robert Pattinson was a detective on the scene. He was Sherlock Holmesing things. He was noticing bloody footprints and, oh, that's a kid. And he noticed the floorboard was lifted and he noticed all these different things. He noticed that the thumb was cut off while the guy was still alive. He was detecting. And that was something Christian Bale never did. I can never forgive Chris Nolan for allowing Batman to have his fortune stolen through a financial trick. You are Bruce Wayne, greatest detective on the planet, and you couldn't get your money back, and you're just going to crawl in a corner and die and have crutches and shit? That was not Batman. But Robert Pattinson, I have to give him a lot of credit. When he was in the suit, I absolutely bought him. I bought him 100%.
100%.
I didn't like that emo bullshit haircut. It gave me Tobey Maguire flashbacks from Spider-Man 3. Get a fucking haircut. You're a billionaire, asshole. And by the way, get a shirt that fits. Alfred is your personal butler, and he allowed you to wear a shirt that was at least an inch too large because it was hanging low at a funeral.
And he doesn't buy off the rack.
He doesn't. So
we
I
got shortchanged on Alfred too, didn't we? I wanted
we
more
got
Alfred.
Michael Caine Alfreded.
Yes, he did.
Andy Serkis.
But we finally saw
sure.
Alfred's use with Andy Serkis. We saw how important Alfred was, I think, in the day-to-day activity of how Batman does what he does. Most of the other Alfreds, we saw them serving him. This, I think, first time we really saw wow, you're showing
the
Alfred's
Cypher
intelligence
stuff
on that. Yeah, I thought that was dope.
Yeah, the Cypher stuff
do
was
everything. Cool. Alfred's like a combat medic and a world-class chef. And he works on the equipment. I'm glad they limited his skill set a little bit in this one, but also made him, somebody you want to have around.
Yeah. Not so good a letter opener, though.
All the Alfreds that we've seen since, I guess, the 80s are kind of based on Frank Miller's ripoff of the Butler and Arthur, the smart aleck John Gielgud.
Yeah, Gielgud, yeah. Mm-hmm.
So this is a good Alfred, but I agree. I love Michael Caine.
I just got to say, this movie was not perfect, but I enjoyed just about every part of it. I think we saw the director's cut in this, the initial cut. I don't need to go back and see an extra 30 minutes of cut footage because I don't know if there's 30 minutes of uncut footage. But I enjoyed every aspect of this because, to other people's points, we got to see the detective Batman. He was more cerebral than ever before. But I didn't necessarily think that Robert Pattinson was the straw that stirred the drink. I believe a lot of actors could have played his role. I thought the script was superior. We talked about this in the text. I thought the production design was fantastic. That felt like a real city. Of course, it's analogous to New York, but it felt like we could have lived in that Batman's world. It's not fantastical. It's not full of soups. We're not going to see Henry Cavill and or Dwayne The Rock Johnson, but I want to see more of that world.
I actually would think that if we saw anyone else, I wouldn't expect that this Batman would participate in anything else. I didn't see how Superman. This Batman seemed to be so different, and so when you all mentioned before how this Batman was so unique from all the other Batmans, like the other ones, I think that you could see in a year, a horrible event that takes place. This Batman, I was like, no, this Batman is really specific to Gotham, period.
But this Batman, interestingly enough, and to me, it made me look at the Joker film, and in that this Batman could exist in a world that came from what Joaquin Phoenix Joker film did. I think that a Gotham where you had a Joker early on, and if they timed it right, it could have worked out where this Batman film could have been a continuation of what started with the Joker.
They both kind of have that same sort of gritty 70s movie aesthetic, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I totally agree with what Mo said. Also, since this is taking place in the early days of Batman, I like to think that this is also pre-Playboy Bruce Wayne. That's why I didn't really care that he was acting kind of like recluse, kind of a slob. Also, I love the Riddler. We've discussed this in the group chat. It's like they took the movie Seven and made it a comic book movie. First 5 minutes of the film, when the Riddler is stalking the mayor, and first you see him, then you don't see him. How they shot it, his breathing was disturbing. And then when he clocked the mayor over his head, and before he did it, he had this demonic war cry, it seemed like. I was like, oh, so we're not in Kansas anymore. This movie is going to be dark and twisted as fuck. And that's why I love the movie.
Dark.
They presented a lot of this like a horror film, and I love that about it.
And there, the Riddler led off with a long Halloween-ish kind of vibe. I dug the narration.
Definitely.
There was a lot to take away from this film. They're like, I mean, and I don't know how the audiences are going to overall react to Robert Pattinson, but things I were looking for from this Batman, I was looking for how his suit differentiated from all the other suits that we've seen. I think as far as his fighting style goes, to me, this was a very brutal Batman who was very capable. He wasn't, unfallible in that he was taking some shots, but seeing him, bat these guys around, to me, it was some of the best fight choreography we've seen. Not Robert Pattinson, but Bruce, was it fucking Ben Affleck. Ben Affleck, he was more of a brawler. Christian Bale, all that training he did in the mountains, I never really saw it. I'm like, he was getting handled to me way too
all
much.
The time. All the time.
So to me, this Batman could fight, but he was also still young enough where you could see, like, the more this Batman goes, he's gonna fucking be a fucking threat. The opening scene, when you see the shadow, when you see the signal in the sky and fucking folks tagging and then they're running off, it's like everyone, to your point, Ryan, the writing of this film, when you hear him talking about, like, they think I'm in every shadow, that's what you think about Batman. If you're not, again, that's why I said in the beginning, if you walk into this film thinking you're going to see an action spectacular, you're probably going to walk away really disappointed if you don't know that that's not every Batman comic books. Some of the best story arcs are the stories where he's solving a damn crime.
I kind of feel like you must have missed some of
these
action sequences when you were sleeping. I don't understand this critique.
If you got 20 minutes in between each action scene in a 3-hour film, it's going to be a lot.
Okay, let's do some actual math. This is not a 3-hour film. It's just
I'm in there at 10 and I get out at 1:30. That's 3 hours. I'll spend the damn thing.
2:45, I think, probably is about what it is. Well, but 2:50, no, because
it really was
7 minutes of credits to see goodbye. That's bullshit. That's not runtime.
No, I mean,
I'm talking about film.
Yeah.
So to me, you had a couple of people who drove action in here. Obviously, Batman drives action, and then there were the pieces. But you also had gangster violence. You also had Catwoman kicking ass. You had Catwoman and Batman doing stuff. You had Batman getting blown up by Sarsgaard, the neck bomb guy. You had a whole lot of and that fucking car chase. The Penguin car chase wasn't big enough action for you. Again, I mean, it was fucking amazing. And he's, I got you. And then here comes a fucking car through a goddamn apocalypse. That shit was fire. Literally. Yeah, exactly. Literally fire.
It didn't bring anything extra to it to me. I saw that in the trailer. That's fine. It was fine, but it wasn't like, oh my.
All right, how about this? One of our pre-complaints was we did not want to see Martha and Bruce and String of Pearls,
right?
And slow-mo. In slow-mo. We didn't get that. I thought it was cool how they retconned their story and they made it a central piece of the storyline, but it wasn't hokey in nature. It's like, so they got a little dirt on Thomas Wayne. And
it was a part of the plot.
Yes.
And you know what I really liked? I really liked that instead of being some stately manor on the outskirts of Gotham, his building, his home, and his Batcave were one fucking thing. I thought that was really cool. And I loved how you really saw the history of the Waynes. You know, when you think about how architecturally that must have worked, because they didn't build Wayne Tower in the 1800s or whatever when the Waynes and the Arkhams were doing their thing. So they brought pieces from some other place and incorporated them into this modern building. And then there were these other things going on that I just really enjoyed when he went into his parents' room after the Riddler reveals the scandal of what happened with his parents' lives, and you saw all the ornate stuff, and in his study when Alfred, Alfred knows that there are to the Batman envelopes in all of these crime scenes, and you're literally staring at the envelope for 5 minutes like, oh, I wonder if there's a cipher in here, but I won't turn this bomb over. I'll just look at the cipher for 15 minutes while he's calling me on the explode. And it's just like, Jesus, what are you doing?
Nice misdirect.
It was a nice misdirect that it happened an hour ago. That was cool. And she was trying to reach him. But I enjoyed a lot more about this movie. And you guys know me. One of the things is I can fixate on some picayune thing and just like tear off on it. But despite the fact that I found myself looking at my watch a couple of times and I found myself shifting in my chair because, to Mo's point, there were some scenes that were a lot longer than they needed to be, I was absolutely captivated. I thought Pattinson and Kravitz had tremendous chemistry. I thought they were absolutely amazing. I didn't know how it was going to work. When you compare it to Anne Hathaway and Christian Bale, it was in a different universe of chemistry. It was real. And he looked like, I don't know about y'all, he looked like he was willing to throw it all away and move to Bloodhaven. Like, I was like, and I'd be with you on that train. Let Robin run some shit for a while. But I really enjoyed all of that. And I liked the mayor. Riddler was the most successful Bat villain in cinematic history. He damn near destroyed the fucking city. And nobody has come close.
I love the fact they didn't kill the
Heath
Riddler.
Ledger,
Yes,
Joker. Joker was pretty damn
made
close.
this film.
Well, but Joker, but Bane and Talia did a better job of isolating the city than Joker did. Joker tried. He blew up the hospital and he tried to pit them against each other with the ships. But Batman foiled that before anybody died.
My only concern is, since the Riddler was so darker than even Heath Ledger's Joker.
Right.
So you show the Joker. I'm assuming that's the Joker. Either that or it's Mephisto.
No, it's confirmed. No,
That's
you
confirmed.
asshole.
No, it's confirmed.
so where do you go from here? Like, you're gonna go more dark? Like, how do you top that?
Well, you have two
you
disaffected
can, but
gangs too, right? You have the
Yeah, there's
Riddler
a
gang
power-
from the
there's a
beginning.
power grab.
Yeah, so
told you.
he's this big. He had 500 people.
Yeah.
And
in Riddler
Catwoman
masks.
warned him. He said, "You're gonna get real
Penguin.
bloody. You started a fucking war here.
Right.
It's about to go down."
There's more work for Batman to do, and
Right.
I'm okay with that universe slowly evolving in a way where they don't need to give it to me all at once. I would love to see Bane come on scene in this universe. What that
Well, I
would
mean,
look
look,
like.
you have two series that are spinning directly out of this, which make total sense when you look at how this film presented these characters. You have Gotham PD, which is starring Jeffrey Wright as Commissioner Gordon,
Jeffrey Wright was
and you
really
have the
good.
Penguin. So the
Yes.
Penguin series, which explores, even further into the underbelly of Gotham.
Tom, Colin
Okay.
Farrell, go.
Can we talk about why you pay Colin Farrell, who looks like Colin Farrell, to put him in a fat suit that nobody wants to fucking see him in? You talk about underbelly. It was all belly with that motherfucker. And scars on his face. And I just don't understand. I mean, there's a lot of pushback of blackface and yellowface. This is fat face. And it's a thing that is in the industry right now. You can't tell me there wasn't a character actor of size who couldn't have pulled off the very limited performance that Colin Farrell delivered as Penguin. It's notable for the fact that you detected no Irish brogue. That's about what you can say about Penguin. He was fine, but
Mark, I would say, let me ask this of Mark Ronner. Mark, isn't there something to be said for, you can at least say that Colin Farrell's in the movie.
Well,
You can use
it's
that as a
kind
selling
of,
point.
It's weird stunt casting, and I really found myself scrutinizing him through the whole thing. But I don't have the same problem with fat face or whatever. It's called acting. I don't mind that. But it was because Colin Farrell is kind of a Bruce Wayne-ish type of actor himself. So it was a strange choice to have him do that. But let's be honest here. It's all downhill after Burgess Meredith, for God's sakes. I mean, you're never going to get a better Penguin than Burgess Meredith. But let me just, can we circle back to Riddler for a second? All these characters that were made in the late 30s and early 40s, how brilliant was it to update the Riddler as essentially a terrorist? Which you go through all of Batman's rogues gallery and think of how many you could really update that would fit as well as the Riddler did in this. They did a tremendous job with that.
And the social point of how both of these men had disaffected, forgotten armies. People who had been underserved in stark financial conditions, who were primed and ready to lend themselves to a terrorist cause. It mirrors a lot of what's going on in our own country right now, even though they didn't make the broad asides to kind of point out the direct translations to it. But it's something that you see in the news playing out every day. January 6th is a frickin' thing in our news all the time. And what were these guys except people who were driven to do something by a charismatic person who wanted to direct their anger in the direction that he wanted to do it in.
I really like the fact now for me personally, the Riddler has never had that mystique. So I didn't mind how they not only just showed him being mentally deranged, which, oh my God, he really was, but they explained why he was the way that he was. Mm-hmm. And I was like, in a lot of aspects, he had a point.
Like that orphan story that he broke down was, I was like, damn,
he had a good point.
Punching him in the gut with that one.
Show of hands very quickly. Who fell into the trap of the Riddler not actually knowing the identity of Batman?
I thought he knew.
Oh, yeah.
I thought he knew.
Yeah, I thought he knew.
Bruce
Yeah, that messed me up for a second. I was like, aren't they recording this? Like, does he have a bat device that's stopping the camera?
He looked at the camera.
He looked at the camera because he thought that the gig was up. He legit thought he was fucked.
Yeah. Yep. And he could have been because of the shared orphan story. And he said, he basically said, y'all motherfuckers ain't real orphans. You didn't have to deal with rats. You didn't have to deal with watching other orphans die.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Like, you're not an orphan living up in a mansion. Shit.
Looking down on us.
Type of orphanage.
Yeah, weren't you terrified for a second that they were going to make the Riddler like some relation to Bruce, like the way they did with Javier Bardem in that terrible James Bond movie? Where they were
you hated Skyfall? No, you're talking about Spectre. Spectre was the one where Blofeld was related to Bond.
They were both terrible, but I don't want to get too sidetracked. I'm just saying that for a second, in the scene you're talking about, where he talks about both of them growing up as orphans and Bruce being kind of a fake rich orphan, I thought for sure they were going to go down that path, and I was so relieved that they didn't, and I was happy for the fake out.
It was good.
Yeah. Look, story-wise, they stuck to the script. Story-wise, from beginning to end, they stuck to exactly what they said that they were going to do with this film. They're like, look, Matt Reeves was like, I don't know if you guys know what it is that I'm doing here, and I don't know if a lot of people will really appreciate how deep I'm going into the Bruce Wayne and Batman mythos. That was his worry going into. He said, with all the Batman films that I've seen, who people are looking for a lot of gadgets and a lot of really fancy toys, I'm stripping him down to the beginning for a reason, because in order for me to tell the story I'm telling, he can't have everything. He can't already be the super. I need you to see him working. And in order to do that, he can't be figuring everything out on a damn bat,
but
gauntlet.
He did have his fair share from the contact lens to whatever it was on his wrist.
Those things,
yes.
And I thought it looked organic and great. I was, and the battle armor. I mean, this is armor that was dealing with a lot more fire
shotgun blast
than a shotgun blast, and he lived.
A shotgun blast, a damn C4 went off in his face.
Wait,
well, that's true too.
But I was wondering, when were they going to shoot this motherfucker in the face? Because that's the thing that was exposed.
And he only had that was just a leather cowl. The rest of his body was all like Kevlar, super modern, armor and shit. But that chin, soft as fuck.
I will say this: the part that made me laugh the most.
The what?
What is he shooting himself with? For him to get
that was adrenaline.
That was adrenaline.
It was adrenaline.
It's adrenaline.
That's the only thing that's going to work that fast.
Batman ain't on drugs. Stop it.
I didn't say he was on drugs.
It was adrenaline.
Okay, heroin would have the opposite effect.
Yeah, it wasn't that heroin.
It wasn't that heroin.
In the group chat.
You said he's on that stuff. What you think? Liquid crack?
Yeah.
I don't know what
he's on Red Balls.
What is adrenaline?
What do you mean? What is adrenaline?
Oh,
didn't you see Pulp Fiction?
You didn't see what he was.
That's
doing.
what they did in Pulp Fiction.
It's a stimulant to the heart,
right?
It's a stimulant,
and it gives you a super burst of juice. That's why Mia. That's why Mia.
You ever been scared? That's adrenaline.
I I know what adrenaline is in your body.
You said, what is adrenaline?
You don't get a shot of adrenaline. You act like this is in a bottle.
Yes,
it is. It was in a shot.
They have it. EMS, they have it.
Just like insulin. It's a thing.
Google
paramedics, they carry it around and they will jab you in your fucking heart.
Yes.
You know,
it's on Google
to get you up. Yeah.
Just like Pulp Fiction.
I will say this: the part that made me laugh, and this is really, really stupid, but I laughed nonetheless, is when Batman's like knocked unconscious from the bomb, and he's in the police station, and they're trying to take the his mask off.
Yeah.
He punches one of the cops, and the commissioner's like, "Okay, I'm gonna put you down for assaulting a police officer." And I was saying to myself, yeah, because Batman really gives a fuck about that.
No, Batman said, you're going to put me down for 2 in a minute.
Right.
I was like, oh, damn, Batman in the station?
That was so funny. I howled.
Yeah. The only thing that was funny is the Jeffrey, right after when the conversation between him and Jeffrey.
Oh, you could have pulled that punch.
I did.
No, before then,
I did.
I'm giving you the keys. I'm giving you the keys, and they having this angry conversation, and people assumed there was going to be more. I thought that was the only funny part of the movie. I mean, you thought
no, it was. I thought it was funny where he actually got scared before he jumped off that building. It's like, ooh,
right?
Yeah, he was up on that ledge like.
Yeah, he was. He was like, "This is the first time I'm doing this shit. This is the first time I'm doing this shit."
It was the actual thumb drive that was also funny. There's not a dark humor.
Yeah, thumb drive is great.
Thumb drive.
You know what? I bet he's never gonna do again. Deploy a chute 12 inches below a goddamn bridge. I bet he's never gonna do that fuck shit again. I was like, Bruce, what the fuck are you doing, man?
He literally thought he was gonna get that bus. He thought he was gonna get. He missed.
He would have had got the bus if he didn't pull the damn chute. He would have landed on that motherfucker and been fine.
But see, that's the appeal of the movie because they actually showed the growth process of the character. They let you know that he's been in the job 2 years. He's still rough around the edges. He doesn't have all his gadgets. I mean, obviously, he has. And here's another thing. I'm sorry to jump around. We don't know when this is set. In other words, they have rotary phone technology. They're pay phones. They're smartphones. The cabs are from 1980, so you're not quite
and there's
sure.
Also, fucking James Bond contact lenses.
Right. So you don't know what year this is set in the sense of just, in our universe. And it just allows him for just certain growth. He's not the Batman that he's going to become. He even talks about that he has to evolve. It can't be about just vengeance and everything.
Right.
This was not only a character study, but it was, as someone has already said, it was a serial crime thriller mystery. You could have taken out Batman and put Morgan Freeman, and you still have a movie that works.
You know what's interesting is how in this film,
6 days.
The what?
6 days.
6
the
days.
Whole movie is
Yeah.
6 days long.
The interesting take on this, in the end, almost jumping into the No Man's Land story, and how they made a turn with Batman that I think benefits him being, it threw me for a second, the fact that he's out there saving lives and they made this heroic turn. But I was like, wow, they did not end on a dark, evil, depressing note. They ended it on like when he's reaching out to the kid to get him out from underneath the rubble, and then the mayor follows him, everyone else. I'm like, and then they have him like carrying people in the rubble. I was like, wow, like you actually ended this on an upswing for a movie that it to me, the DCEU that I'm used to, everything stays dark, nothing is happy. Shit, even the happy moments are foul. This one, they say, you know what? Like, there's some promise for Batman. It doesn't leave us with Batman is forever the enemy of Gotham. He is looked at as the protector of Gotham, which is something that they haven't really done in films. There's always been this outlaw. We don't like Batman. We don't trust Batman. Versus this one saying, don't fuck with Gotham. We got Batman.
I know when this movie was set. It was set in 20 fuck Zack Snyder. Because this movie showed us that you could have a dark story that was actually effectively done. And I think better done than anything Nolan did, because Nolan had a little bit, except for Dark Knight. Dark Knight was brilliant.
Yeah.
But
yes.
But what Nolan did was he inserted a little bit too much, I thought, of the comic booky stuff. Scarecrow and the hallucinogenic, phantasmagoric scenes with the roar, and then the when he drops the thing and the bats come down the thing. And Batman Begins, I thought, was a bit of a mess with that crazy, loopy We're going to send a train with a microwave that's going to automatically turn all of the fear mist into vapor from liquid to blah, blah, blah. And the Wayne Tower is going to be the final destination. So Ra's al Ghul
Liam Neeson's.
Yeah, it was too fucking much with that bullshit. And then Dark Knight was actually a great Joker tale. And then by the time we got to Bane, it was all, I can't understand what I'm saying after I broke your back. And it's like, oh, okay. Nuclear bomb that doesn't go off for 2 years. Fuck you.
None of those films, none of those films was Batman the major takeaway. It's like we liked the Joker, we liked Bane. Batman was in it, but this film, they said, we got to give you a lot more Batman. Was hella worried about Robert Pattinson. Fucking Robert Pattinson. Look, he can do it.
Yeah.
Robert Pattinson can probably carry this franchise for a while on his shoulders.
I don't think they need
issue with you on this Robert Pattinson
Mark,
thing.
go ahead.
Wait,
Mark.
hold on, Mark.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No. I misspoke. Go ahead.
I just want to take issue with Tuala on this. And we talked about this, I think, on the KFI show at some point recently, the movie being Pattinson proof. I found Pattinson just to be an effeminate little putz. That I thought he was a terrible Batman,
his Bruce Wayne, I think, was a putz. I think his Bruce Wayne was horrible. His moody fucking, that shit bothered me.
He was a vampire once again. It was Twilight-esque.
Yeah.
I mean, he was a vampire.
Don't you agree that Batman should be somebody who doesn't look like you could kick their ass? There was his shirtless scene just took me out of the whole movie.
Again, the shirtless scene. He's not walking around in that armor. I don't know if I'm gonna run up on him. Not in that outfit.
Fuck no, not after that Joker gang. He knocked the dog shit out of them.
Yeah, like
the armor is a great equalizer, but it's a tough needle to thread because. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say I agree with you. You would think he had a muscle the way that he fought, and when he had no shirt on, it was like,
yeah. Oh yeah, no, yeah. He needs some weight. He's got to get his weight up.
Well, I don't disagree, but I think in to the extent that a person who was able to track down and figure out all this stuff about all these other people and track down this Gotham history and all of that, because Bruce was so slight, I think it played to the disguise of who he was when he was Batman. I think it made it a lot more difficult. You look at Ben Affleck. Ben Affleck is overweight.
Yeah.
And I mean,
Batman.
he just was.
He's a little bloated.
And that bulk,
he was a thick Batman.
He was thick man for sure. For fuck's sake, yes, he goddamn sure was. Is that bad? Why, Thomas? It's a comic book property. I'm not sure what question that was.
I guess we're talking about Christopher Nolan as far as incorporating too much of the comic book aspect.
But what I'm saying is Christopher Nolan as a filmmaker was trying to make something that he legit thought was regular cinema using an intellectual property from DC. He didn't have Robin at all, really. Even in the third movie, that wasn't Robin.
Jesus.
And he picked villains that I thought were grounded. I mean, Ra's al Ghul is fine as a grounded villain, even though they played with his race and they did the whole, false flag with who we thought Ra's was versus who Ra's ended up being. Talia al Ghul and Bane, fine, whatever. That I'm not saying those were bad choices. I'm just saying that was a precursor to the Marvel era, which exploded. And so then DC said, oh, well, we're going to do the same thing. And they tried and they mostly failed, almost universally failed, despite some movies making a lot of money. They've been savaged and they haven't been as popular. And then we now have the same Warner Brothers that owns the same IP basically saying, fuck the DCEU. We made $3 billion off Batman alone. Let's see if we can do it again. And, they talked about, is he replacing Ben Affleck? No, he's not. Because Aquaman doesn't exist in this universe, or he would have brought some whales to fucking close the seawall and get all the goddamn water out. So he's not in the DCEU, or the DICU, as I call it.
No, but even in the DCEU, Aquaman never showed up to help anyone at any time.
Well, that's true too. I mean, yeah, except for
a little bit.
Yeah, except for Peacemaker, too late. So it's like, I just don't understand what they're trying to do. I didn't have a problem with Pattinson. I didn't think I was going to like Pattinson. I didn't like Pattinson as Bruce Wayne. But as Batman, I thought he was credible. I thought he was at least as credible as Bale, and I thought his suit was a lot better. I really liked the organic nature of the leather on the suit as opposed to the hard pieces. I really loved he didn't use the Batarang except 2 times in the whole fucking movie, but I loved how it was integrated into the chest plate. They didn't really get into the mythology of it being the guns that killed his parents, although it did look mechanical in a certain way. I just bought it, and I could definitely imagine seeing more films in this universe, although it pisses me off that they're just not going to share the universe with the rest of the properties like they could.
I got to disagree with you, Tom, and I want to get your thoughts on this, Mark. I disagree with Tom for this reason. This Batman obviously was meant to not play with anybody else in anybody else's sandbox, and that's fine. But I still want to be able to think of Batman as part of being part of possible a Justice League of some sort, that you can have other DCEU characters, quote unquote, come and also visit this universe. And unfortunately, that's not ever going to happen. And that's okay. But I'm just saying, that's one thing why I do like the Christian Bale Batman, where it wasn't so ridiculous that you could have someone from the DCEU visit the Nolan universe, which I personally happen to like.
I just want to say 2 things. One, when we're talking about why no one shoots Batman in the face, we can say the same thing about Captain America when he pushes his shield up. His shield doesn't block everything, and they just keep on shooting at the fucking shield.
Shoot his feet.
Exactly. Also, have they come out and said that they're not going to just start their own universe with this Batman and just say fuck
you mean
Zack Snyder?
With the other characters?
No, just like make a whole new universe.
No, but I'm saying, go ahead, Twala.
No, I was gonna say Matt Reeves and them asking, will we see any other DC characters in this? He said that his version has left Warner Brothers the ability to do so as long as they can be grounded in this story. He says he doesn't want to take this story into a realm that's too far off from what they're creating. He says, I want to at least do another film at least before we introduce one more kind of earthbound hero. We don't want to get into aliens and all that with Superman. There's enough characters within the DC universe that you could bring into this. That's why they dropped Bloodhaven. That was intentional to let you know that it is part of the larger DC universe. The fact that he says when you go back there are some real secret like Easter eggs, and you gotta go back and watch it, I guess. But when you look at all the people that are locked up in Arkham. Yeah, okay.
Right.
Well, here's the thing.
No, so there's a lot of different characters that are locked up in Arkham, and Batman's rogues gallery and all the individuals that cross within Gotham. There's so much that you can do within Batman that you may not need to go into, bringing anyone else in.
So, but here's the thing, though. In the MCU, when they were starting off the MCU, they didn't start off all crazy. They built it slowly. It was somewhat grounded. I'm saying, are they going to do that same approach? I hope that they do and say, look, okay, we fucked up with the current DCEU, which is trash. Okay, now we can start slowly here and keep it grounded and have more Batman movies and kind of like split off the other superhero stuff like that. That's what I hope that they do. That's all I'm saying.
I think that if they introduce characters that we have not seen, I don't think that we should have some of the characters that we've seen existing, because Wonder Woman's too old. I mean, it would just look strange.
She's over 1,000, yeah.
No, I mean the character that we have right now. She looks.
You're talking about Gal Gadot.
Yeah,
no, but they
that's
wouldn't do
DCEU.
that.
Yeah, they wouldn't do that.
No, I mean what Ryan is talking about is them branching off and saying within this universe.
Right. You could put Deathstroke in another Batman movie
easily.
Yeah, because a lot of these characters were made. They're like 80-year-old silly characters,
right? So
and that includes Wonder Woman. And you can't put they've been trying to get a movie like this made with this kind of 70s plus Batman Year One aesthetic for a long time. Like I think I remember reading reports that Darren Aronofsky had been working for years on a version just like this.
Yep.
So I would hate for them to do anything that broke the vibe. So I don't know if you guys are into the old Batman comics, but there's so many old villains that nobody's ever tapped into, like Ali Babel, whose power is that he just irritates everybody by talking too much. There's
Ryan, that's you.
Ain't
tons
that a
of-
bitch?
I mean, that kind of
awesome.
he
You
has.
could have,
When
you
it
could have
real
Firefly.
goes wrong.
You could have Firefly in this. You could have so many different characters in this that don't touch the Snyderverse. You know, the Batgirl or the Batgirl film that's coming to the HBO Max app. That's set in the Snyderverse. You know, the Flash Snyderverse, Aquaman Snyderverse, that's there. With this, what you have, you can go into a whole. To me, this is a Batman for adults. Is how it is. This is Batman for adults, and you can stay here. You have a whole world with the HBO Max app where you can go on and on and on, just tell stories from this. Universe.
But I mean, isn't this like the movie version of Gotham with a grown-up Bruce? I mean, it's not like that has not existed. It's not like they're showing us something revelatory. To the point that Mo said, he liked the Nolan films a lot more than I did. I don't think, by the way, that you can bring Superman, who must have existed on the planet, during a year-long fight where a bomb is being driven around the fucking city. That I call bullshit on that. If Superman existed, Superman sweeps in, flies, and throws that shit into space before anything fucking happens because it's been counting down for a year. Fuck Bane. Fuck the poor people taking over all the rich people's shit. Fuck blowing up bridges. That's a 5-minute fix for anybody in the Justice League, Green Lantern or anybody else. And so he had his island. Well, and but that's why this I contend that's why this movie got made. Not because people were just tired of the DCEU. Warner Brothers said, guys, we made $3 billion with solo Batman films. Let's just fucking make some films that people will like and will make money, and they'll stop looking at us as failures for the Snyderverse, which really just hasn't worked out. And I don't know that Flashpoint is going to be some dramatic reimagining. I think Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson looks good as Black Adam. I think he looks ruthless as Black Adam. If you like, and I hate Zach Levy as Shazam, but you know, it made money for the kiddos, and so whatever. I get why they would want to do this. I'm just disappointed that, like the animated features where they were able to the question's a person you could bring into this universe.
Definitely.
I love
without problem. You could bring the Huntress in here. You could
that's
bring.
What I'm saying. There are a bunch of street level. I mean, you could bring Vigilante. You could bring those street level DC characters that kind of spin out of Batman. You could actually bring in Green Arrow into this universe. You could bring the Suicide Squad. Stuff like that would work within this universe because those are more realistically earthbound kind of heroes.
But they went too wacky with Suicide Squad. Well, you couldn't do the current
Suicide Squad.
No, not that Suicide Squad.
Right. I mean, you could bring Deadshot for sure. You could bring Deadshot in. You could bring. I mean,
Bronze Tiger. Shit.
But do you? I guess my question is. It seems like if they're building a Gordon series and they're building a Penguin series, it seems like they really are trying to keep this kind of insular. I mean, you've killed Falcone, Maroni's off the table. You've got Joker, you've got Riddler, but you can't go back to the Riddler well so quickly. So the next thing has got to be a Joker escape, and Joker perhaps maniacally double-crossing Riddler so Riddler stays in so Joker can have his fun. So I see what you could at least get 2 more films out of this with no problem, not even breathing hard. And they would probably do really, really well. And so they chose Pattinson because Pattinson was young, I think, to your point, Tawala. And Pattinson can always go into a gym for you guys who want to see his shirt off. I don't really care. He never needed to take off the costume for me. I was perfectly fine with seeing him as Batman 100% of the time on screen. Just like I was perfectly happy seeing Zoe Kravitz in that goddamn cat suit.
She was really good.
She was amazing.
Yeah, she was good.
She was amazing.
This is one of the best Catwoman we've seen since Eartha Kitt.
We said it
was.
Yes.
Oh yeah. No, she killed it. She killed it.
Yeah.
So
not mad. Her use of the whip, all that. Her kicks.
Oh baby.
No. She embodied the character. I don't think we had seen that in quite some time now. What's her name from
Michelle Pfeiffer?
No, from the Nolan universe.
Oh, Anne Hathaway. Please.
Anne Hathaway. She had the flexibility, but she didn't move like Catwoman. She didn't exhibit skills like Catwoman. You know.
Listen, that callback when she kicked dude off the roof and she said, "I've got 9," and grabbed that thing and fucking slid down, I was like, son of a bitch, you better do that shit, goddamn it. And I noticed from the very beginning, those nails looked fake as hell, but the payoff when she scratched the shit out of her dad, and then you saw the nails that actually poked through the gloves, so they really were like claws. Everything that Zoe did on screen was absolutely magnetic. Yeah. She may have even gotten her goddamn stepdaddy and mama back together because...
Look, can I just say, I will see anything with John Turturro in it. Yeah. I just think he is woefully underappreciated as an actor, where he has enough gravitas where, I bought him as Falcone. I bought him that he was a generational gangster.
He almost tricked off all of that goodwill in those Transformer movies, though. Let's be clear. He did. He was absolute trash in every single one. Section 7, my fucking ass. But, whew.
It was good.
Let's get some closing thoughts from everyone about the movie real quick. Liz. Dr. Liz.
I mean, it has some really great moments. I thought the cinematography was so on point. I love the angles in different ways. Especially my favorite is going to be the Batmobile, and when he was walking to the Penguin, that was just, I loved it. But it's too long, and I wouldn't see it again unless it comes on HBO. When it comes on HBO Max, then I can pause it, come take a nap, go to the bathroom.
You ain't got no prostate. Jesus Christ.
And come back to it. But I mean, it's just too much. It's too much. It's too long.
Ryan?
I thought it, before I saw the movie, Twal, I'm looking at you, before I saw the entire movie, I thought it might be too long, but I thoroughly enjoyed it. A movie for me is really, really, really good when I'm saying to myself, you know what? The acting was so great, but the writing was just so superb. Like, I was just in awe of like how every scene was well written, how the Riddler was well written, how he was just so, I can't stress this enough, how demonic he was. Like the dude, when he's in the in Arkham, and he's like singing to Batman, this acting crazy. The whole thing, I was like, oh my god, boy, you done lost it. I love that scene. I love this movie. I will say this again, and inject this shit into my fucking veins.
Tom is talking.
It was long, but it was good. That's what she said. Yes. So, I will say this: it was the first DCE movie, or the first DC movie, because it's not DCEU. It was the first DC movie since the DCU started making movies where I wanted to wait to see if there was a post-credit scene. And it pissed me off that there wasn't one, because the perfect post-credit scene would have been the scene in the jail with Riddler and Joker.
They put it in the movie.
They put it in the wrong part. And if you're going to make me fucking sit through all those goddamn credits just to say goodbye, that was some Ferris Bueller shit. Fuck you. Okay. I did not appreciate that.
Yes.
Let's go to Mark Ronner before we go to Tuala.
Oh, well, if you're going to go see this movie, definitely bring a bat diaper, because it's way too long. It did not need to be as long as it was, but apart from it, and it does drag in some spots, but man, 8 or 9 out of 10 easily. This probably the best Batman movie ever, if you don't count the 1966 Batman, which is glorious, and I don't want to hear any fucking argument about that.
Okay, fine.
No, I'm sorry.
Michael Uslan says it isn't, so I trust him on that.
Just fantastic, and you know, even if you don't care for Pattinson, which I just vehemently don't care for that guy, the movie works great one way or the other with him. And as I was texting you, Mo, I just wanted to baste in that atmosphere. That is like the 70s Neil Adams Batman.
Oh, wow. That was a good reference.
Yeah,
that was a good reference.
The lighting, the sets, it just looked terrific. The darkness of it all. I wasn't crazy about the action choreography, because I really paid close attention to that. I would have liked him to use more martial arts instead of just punching people with haymakers over and over again. But these are all minor complaints. This is a terrific movie, maybe the best Batman of all time.
For me, I just think it was a stellar film. It will never be given the credit of being a stellar film because it'll be considered a superhero film. One thing I liked, and I said this in the chat, or I should say I said this to Tom. These weren't any cartoon characters. These were gangsters with nicknames, which were around their personas. But it wasn't about Penguin look like a penguin or walk like a penguin. That was just his gangster name.
Did, though.
Well, kind of, but I'm just saying it wasn't over the top with it. And I appreciated that. Well, they kept it very real in that regard, and I want to see more from this world, and we'll get to see more. I love how it was just about a serial killer. I'd never seen a serious treatment of Riddler. I wasn't sure that you could. And for me, without being hyperbolic, that rivaled, I didn't say it met, but it rivaled Heath Ledger's portrayal of the Joker in the way that it flipped on its head what we thought the character could be. Mm-hmm. This motherfucker was murking folks.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
In a serious way. And we never saw that before. Not even the Joker himself was doing that.
And he only got caught because he wanted to be
people's
caught.
faces.
Yeah.
Man,
that was kind of Saw-ish.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, and when you think about the last on-screen representation we had of Joker vis-a-vis Jim Carrey, this was
Riddler.
As the Riddler. Yeah, Joker. I meant Riddler. This was obviously the polar opposite of that, and they did lean a bit heavily into Seven in a way. I mean, I by the time we got to his room, it was like the prototypical loner, serial murderer guy with all the journals and all that shit. I didn't quite completely understand the importance of Robert Pattinson thumbing through hundreds of files on renewal, which he had no context for. But again, that was one of those things where they inserted stuff that wasn't really necessary to drive the plot forward. And it was another sequence where Robert Pattinson was not in the suit, which I could have done away with all of those. So, but better than Spider-Man. No way. Pirates? Better known as Uncharted. It was definitely a much better experience. I took Coco to see Uncharted last week, and I took him to see. I didn't take him to see this, and I saw this week, and so it's definitely the opposite of what cinema can be, and I think it's going to be a big hit because it's a superhero movie that we are not going to get until Multiverse of Madness, and so
I think this movie is going to get critically acclaimed. I'm not sure if it's going to have as many butts in seats as it could have had. But to me, if I had to choose between one getting critically acclaimed, I'd prefer this one over the Joker, because the Joker should have never been critically acclaimed, and I stand with that.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Hey, Tuala, give us your movie review of the movie you didn't see.
All right, look.
I didn't see it.
Look, fuck all y'all for that. Okay, so what I will say about this film,
that's it.
I did not like this film contrary to belief. I would not want to see it again. This film, everything that I saw about from Robert Pattinson and everything, I believed his Batman full on. I thought that his Batman was great. I loved the whole walk through the crime scene in the beginning, and the look on all the police officers' faces, just all that, his presence every time he was on screen when he was walking through the nightclub and fucking people up. I was like, this Batman is badass, and this is just the beginning of this guy. And I have to see it again because I saw it at the ArcLight, and and this is a film that's damn near the entire film is at night, and it's not a film that I would recommend seeing, outside of maybe Dolby or IMAX. You're gonna need that clarity so you can actually see everything that's going on. The theater was hella dark and the screen was hella murky. So there's a lot of stuff I was like, I cannot even see what the fuck you're looking at, Alfred. There's like little notes and things I want to be able to see because the screen was jacked up. I definitely recommend Dolby or IMAX just so you can feel the rumble and just the fucking music. The score for this film, very underrated. Hearing the theme music for Batman in this, one of my favorite, thematics, say maybe Nolan's was one of the
I
best.
like Nolan's score. I do.
I like Nolan's score, but to me, this one, the entire score, the sound, the audio quality, it was a very menacing, serious film. It never let up in that way. And for me, this is the best DC film that has been released. It really, really is. There isn't anything for me that I liked overall, because even though I liked The Dark Knight, I didn't like Batman. I didn't like Christian Bale in it at all. I was like, give me more Joker if you want to, but I never was a fan of Bale. I didn't like the first one, and the last one I just like Bane. I was like, damn, dude, you fucking didn't need to bring Batman back from the fucking cliff or whatever.
You take Lucius Fox out of Dark Knight, and that movie is ass because Batman loses.
Ass.
Because he loses
he's a stupid Batman. How do you have a stupid
he got
Batman?
His ass whooped. A lot.
Stupid.
No, he was
ass whooped
without the phone bullshit at the end. Without the phone technology that Lucius created, and then he destroyed after it was done, Batman loses. And Batman should not require every cell phone in Gotham to beat the Joker. I'm sorry. He was a dumbass. And aside from those hyper sharp canine teeth and that wheezy delivery because he looked like he needed some fisherman friends. Fuck you, Christian Bale.
Okay.
Where is she? Where is she?
I wouldn't have saved Maggie either. Sorry.
No, I wouldn't have saved Maggie at all.
That's fun. But he used the hero that we deserved. Okay. Or needed. What was the line?
No.
But speaking of lines, Twala, this is your part. Take it away.
All righty. It has been a Stone Groove. Mark, this is the part of the show where we sign off with a quote, line, limerick, something that's just a simple sign off. Starting with McBain. Take us out, good sir.
The Batman was great. Wouldn't you agree, Bruce?
Dr. Liz.
You've got a lot of cats.
Mo Kelly.
The hell are you supposed to be? I'm vengeance.
All right, vengeance. Tom.
Where is my Zoe suit?
Mark, now you know how we do it. Hit us, good sir.
Okay. Some days you just can't get rid of a bomb. Oh, fuck. That's the wrong movie. Sorry. I'll get
That's
it right.
an excellent callback.
Call back. Yes.
Excelsior!
I'm nasty.